I feel when you battle in the competition, it's really that moment being judged. So you look him in the eye and he looks you in the eye. That's the very first battle moment before the battle even starts. So when I started, I was around 12. I was always around my two older cousins. They were breaking as well. And I looked up so much to them that I would never even think I would come close to how good they were. Later, I started seeing that the Red Bull BC1s got bigger and bigger, and they started to have this Red Bull BC1 All-Stars. And I knew winning the Red Bull BC1 would probably give me this opportunity. By 2013, I won every title in breaking that was held except the BC1. So that was like a dream to me. I was like, okay, I need this, because then I can focus fully on my break and I can just battle and I can just do what I like. It's not about who spins the hardest or who jumps the highest or who does the most rounds. It's really about who brings something to the table that you never seen before. It's about how you do it, not what you do.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... If you've been watching London Real for a few months or years now, then you know that I like to breakdance. Now, what is breakdancing? Well, it was a phenomenon that grew out of the Bronx in New York in the 70s. It's a dance, it's a culture, it's intertwined with music and graffiti. And so I was super excited to host Menno Van Gorp, who just won the Red Bull BC1 Champions, kind of the Super Bowl of breakdancing, for the third time in his life. He's the only guy to do it 3 times. He's from Holland and he's got this crazy flow style. And I actually got to train with him before the episode and then find out what it takes to be #1 in the world, to go head to head in a live competition where you have to flow, you have to move, you have to create, you have to get inside someone's head. You have to do all these things at once while you have judges and a crowd. He trained 6-9 months for this thing, and now breaking is in the Olympics. And Menno wants to represent Holland and maybe get the first gold medal. I love this dance, I love this form. I've had 2 incredible B-boys on the show in the past, including Crazy Legs from the Bronx and Storm from Germany. Don't sleep on this phenomenon, because these are some of the greatest athletes in the world, and I know you're going to enjoy my incredible episode with Menno. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Menno Van Gorp, also known as B-Boy Menno, the Dutch 3-time Red Bull BC1 All-Star Breakdance champion, painter, entrepreneur, and clothing designer. You have been breaking since you were 12 years old and have spent the last 20 years creating a style that's earned you a reputation as one of the most unique and original B-boys in the game. You've competed in events all over the world, winning countless awards, and recently became the first person to win the BC1 championship 3 times in a row. Menno, welcome to London Real.
Thank you.
Dude, man, it's great to have you here. We just spent about 90 minutes in the studio, and you taught me all sorts of, like, honestly, new ways to use my body. It felt like a cross between Ido Portal and Crazy Legs.
Yeah.
You know, and so we'll be releasing bits of that video probably on Instagram, and people can see that. But I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I'd love to start off in a crazy way. First of all, a lot of people don't know that I've been breaking for like the last few years. Kind of Ito Portal inspired me, and then I started practicing. I had some teachers, and then I got Crazy Legs in here and Storm in here, and I was following you for the past year and watching your style and a bunch of people out there. And so to train with you was really special. And I watched you compete live at Mumbai, a few weeks ago, a month ago? On that Red Bull, BC One Champs final. And if anyone's ever seen it, I mean, it's a serious production event. I mean, it looks amazing. There's like a circular stage, cameras everywhere, judges, and it's high stakes, right?
Yeah.
And you went down to the final battle. So that means you had 4 battles in one night.
Yeah.
So that's 12 rounds of breaking. Just for people that don't know, what is an event like that? I mean, what is it like to be there to compete? The mental headspace, you got contracts on the line, you got prize money on the line, you got bragging rights.
Yeah.
Explain it to people who maybe have never even watched one of these competitions.
I think it's the event that brings the most pressure on your shoulders of all events in the breaking scene nowadays. Like the road towards the event, you're already busy with like media and interviews and local interviews and international interviews. So in these interviews, they're asking you all these questions like, what does it mean for you to be there and to represent your country? So you really feel like you're not just representing yourself, you're also representing your family and your friends and your crew and your country back home. So that brings like an extra pressure that doesn't really come with other events.
It's like the Olympics in that way.
It's a little bit like the Olympics in that way, yeah. And then at the same time, if you win an event like BC1, this can be very important for your career as a dancer. As a B-boy, it's not really easy to make a living out of it. But winning a BC1 can get you maybe a contract with Red Bull or give you like such a good exposure that you can like work at least like 4 or 5 years from just winning one title. So it's a really big opportunity to put your name down in the Red Bull BC1. Yeah.
And pressure brings out the best and worst in people. I'm sure you've
Yes.
seen great B-boys in the training room, but when they get on stage, sometimes they just can't make it happen, right?
Yeah, and especially when you have this green room, there's this warm-up space at the Red Bull BC1, and being surrounded with like the top 16 of the best B-boys in the world, the physical abilities that people do is out of this world, and I'm looking at it, I'm looking at how they warm up, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is so like, even for me watching what they do, it's impossible. Like, imagine some from the outside watching them. It looks like really like they're superheroes in a way. And I'm not built like a super athlete, so that sometimes can give me doubtful feelings. Like, oh shit, like, is the crowd's gonna feel my movements, and how am I gonna beat something that has that like a big of a shock value? But then you see on stage, it's not about the moves. It's about how you put it together, and it's about how you do it, not what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even you can get intimidated in a room because you're surrounded by the best in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a different style. Everyone's from a different country. Everyone's got a cool name, right?
Yeah.
You got Bart and Little Sumi and like, all these crazy. It's almost like they are superheroes, right?
Yeah.
They're representing Brazil and Ukraine and Kazakhstan, and everyone's got a different look, a different vibe, and it is like kind of superheroes competing, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the most important things in breaking is to find your own style and your own way, and fully your own approach. And then once you find it, you need to become the best of your own version. Yeah.
It's a good metaphor for life, because I think in B-Boy sometimes, and we'll talk about the whole evolution of the dance because it's pretty fascinating in itself, but you can see a bunch of cool moves and then you can go out and try to do those moves. But it's like a martial artist. If Muhammad Ali tried to fight like Joe Louis, he would get beat every time. He needs to do his rope-a-dope. He needs to dance around the ring.
Yeah.
If Mike Tyson tried to fight like Muhammad Ali, he would lose every time. So you have to embrace your own personality and then believe in yourself enough to go through with it. And your head starts playing games with you sometimes. It must, and think, oh, maybe I got to do this. Maybe I should change this. Maybe the judges are looking for this. And like you said, if you win BC1, that could set you up for years. If you lose it, you might be out there, you know, sleeping on sofas just to make it happen. So it's a lot on the line, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And then, so for people that don't know, you get out there and it's breaking's like, it's a battle. So it's not a physical fight, although sometimes guys do bump into each other and it can get a little physical, but it's a display of prowess and it's a gamesmanship that's going on. And so you're looking at your opponent the whole time and you're trying to get inside their head. So in a way, it's like a battle without it being physical on the stage. Can you explain that? Because there's no other sport like it in that sense. When you see Dancing with the Stars, that people are dancing and the judges compete, but they're never really in their face. And in a martial arts competition, they're punching each other. So it's somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, it's one of the most hardest things in breaking, I think, in the competing side of it, is, for example, that moment once you reach the final battle, and your body starts to be tired and your legs start to feel like spaghetti, to still remember the moves that you didn't do in the previous rounds. So it's really important that you have a strong mind, that things comes up at the right moment. And at the same time, everybody is very aware of that. So if you would battle somebody, you can get him out of his focus, and he could like forget his round that he wants to do and end up repeating stuff from previous rounds just because you got him out of your focus.
And you were clowning a couple of guys there trying to get inside their heads, right? So if somebody does like a round, you'll like point out a move and you'll be like, that's my move, or I can do that move, trying to get in his head. And if he makes a mistake, that can
cause him his round.
And then the competition, right?
So it's important that you see that when you battle somebody with your dance, is that it's aimed to somebody. So when you freeze, so freeze is when you hit a trick that you freeze. It's important that you like angle it towards the person that you battle.
So you're spinning around. It's your 11th round of breakdancing for the day. There's lights on you. It's live. Millions of people are watching you, and you got to stop with your freeze and stare at the guy.
At least at his direction. And of course, it's a balance. You need to look somebody like fully in the eye, like fully the whole round, but it needs to show like in your movements, and also like there need to be a connection between you and the person you're battling.
And you told me, like, in real life, normally, you can be kind of a quiet guy and kind of a humble guy. But when you get on stage, that changes.
That changes,
Who do you become?
Who
Menno.
do I become?
Do you have an alter ego? Is Menno a different guy?
No, not necessarily. And I think if you know me, if you're close to me, I'm not that quiet and I'm that humble. I always need to, I don't know how to explain. I need to get comfortable first to be myself, like fully 100%. But when I battle, that's not the case. That's like a switch is being turned, and I feel like I'm the best of the world, and nothing can impress me what's happening in front of me. And I think that's the mindset you need to have, because the moment somebody that battling you impresses you, then that messes with your energy already. That makes you feel like, oh, this was really good what he was doing. What am I gonna do? So it's really about keeping the focus on yourself, and not at the other person. And to me, when I battle, I'm the best, and nobody can beat me. It's impossible. Even when I lose, I still won, until I watch back the footage and be like, all right, I kind of lost. But you know, like, I'm so full of myself in that moment in the battle that it becomes reality, and that the judges feel it, the crowd feel it, and the opponent feel it. So right before the battle starts, you see you're on this side of the stage, the other person is on the other side of the stage, and you make eye contact before the battle even starts. So you look him in the eye, and he looks you in the eye, and then he looks to the floor. And you're like, okay, I'm already 1-0 if it comes to confidence because I just looked at you in the eye and you looked away. So that already gives you an extra push of confidence in a way. So that's, I think, when, especially with BC1s, because everything is so focused on these battles, that's the very first battle moment before the battle even starts, is that eye contact.
That's like a boxer thing. Mike Tyson used to do that. He would stare at the guy, and as soon as he looked down, he's like, I got this.
That's what I always do.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you learn this winning mindset? Like, did you have to teach yourself how to do that? Or did you always believe you were the best?
It kind of happened in a natural way, I guess. I was definitely not one of the talented kids when I was young. So I had to work really hard for my place. And I think that hard work made me stronger at the end. Yeah.
Because you're not physically gifted.
Well, when I was a kid, and my mom took me to the doctor, like the regular check, the doctor advised my mom to put me on judo because of my how to say in English, my balance organ was a little bit off, so I was a little bit goofy. So if I would do a head roll on lower school, I would roll on my side instead of just a regular head roll. So I would like drop things easily, and I was a little bit clumsy. So the doctor told me, put him on judo. Judo is a game of balance, because if you push, you throw somebody, and if somebody pushes you, you play with the balance and you learn how to fall. And this kind of set the base for my breaking skills, I think.
Yeah, and it comes out, like you showed me a bunch of your judo moves that became signature Menno moves.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of breakdance. You can pull in different movements and your own personality and make it your own.
Yeah.
If you believe in it, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things.
Now you mentioned energy, like that's what makes breaking different than maybe, say, other sports at the Olympics, and we're going to talk about it becoming part of the Olympics this year, which is super exciting, or next year, is that your energy changes everything. Because, you know, if you look at, say, the 12th round of a boxing match, both guys are dead tired and they're swinging away, sometimes just trying to survive and maybe get a lucky punch. But for you got to keep that energy up, and every move, your energy is felt, right? Your posture, your belief in yourself. And if you're not feeling it, or the other guy's in your head, the judges see it, the crowd sees it, which means the judges see the crowd, your opponent feels it, and it can all go wrong, because the dance is really all of your energy in one thing.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like a sport in that sense, because it's got that creativity and energy in it, right?
Yeah. For me, it's definitely more an art form than a sport, because also the way you judge it, it's not about who spins the hardest or who jumps the highest or who does the most rounds. It's really about who brings something to the table that you never seen before, or that's very like personal to this person that's doing it. I like to compare it more to music than to sports, because to ask who's the best B-Boy in the world, for me that's saying like, what's the best music in the world? You can't say jazz music is better than funk music, because it's just different. And in breaking is the same thing. Like the styles of people are so different that it's almost so hard to compare. But there still is getting judged in a battle.
Right.
And then it's just a matter of who's executing his thing the best, his way, and who's the cleanest and who got the most. And I have a lot of moves, so that's why I win a lot of competitions, because I have a very unique style and I have a lot of different material. So many times I'm in the final and people are actually losing more to themselves than they're actually losing to me, I feel.
Explain that.
Because I feel I feel the how to explain.
Do they try too hard to like give you
They
their
just
best
don't have
move?
enough material left.
Okay. By the time the final comes,
By
they've
the-
spent all their good material.
They spend all their good material, and they're tired, and the fighting spirit kind of disappears. And I'm always on top of myself, and I get more dangerous in the final. And
Why are you more dangerous in the final?
because it's almost like I'm a shark, like I smell the blood, I smell the prize already, and then that gives me more energy. Sometimes it's that moment when you're tired and you feel you cannot go no more, and then once you kick out that door, you have a new boost of energy, and that energy can bring you really far if you know how to unlock the energy. And I think my willpower is better than my stamina, and my willpower is bigger than my talent. My willpower is bigger than anything. So I think the two strongest qualities I have is probably my willpower and my creativity. And those things together brought me really far.
Most people wouldn't think it's a sportsman, and then maybe wouldn't call yourself that, would say
Yeah.
willpower and creativity. You know, most people think it's a physical gift or it's discipline,
Yeah.
but it's not.
No, I don't think, yeah.
I've seen battles with you, with friends of yours on YouTube where you go round for round. And for people that don't know, a B-Boy round is about a minute, maybe less, 40
Yeah.
seconds.
Something like that.
And it's kind of you're walking out, you're doing your thing, you're doing your flow, you're doing your performance. It's probably going to be on some moves on the ground at some point, and you're getting back up. It's pretty anaerobic when it comes to a level of workout. It's not
Yeah.
aerobic. You really can't continue that pace without going in oxygen deficit,
Yeah.
right? And so you go, say, a minute or less sometimes, then the other guy has that much time to rest, and then you go back and forth.
Yeah.
And I've seen you go something like 10 or 15 rounds, and I can tell you're both dead tired, but
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop. And yet you still have to keep it flowing and creative.
Yeah.
And that's why competition sometimes is different than when you're just having a friendly battle. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I feel when you battle in the competition, it's really that moment being judged. That those 3 rounds, and when you really battle somebody like that, I think it's the battle me versus Fleu. You saw it was a battle in at a practice in Montreal, and he is one of the b-boys that I really respect, and I really like his approach. It's kind of similar to mine sometimes, and we good friends. So he invited me to his event. Another guy invited me to his event, and then I hit him up and I was like, let's have a practice battle, because I really miss to have like a real conversation with another b-boy that I like, and to really like dig deep and go longer than just that momentum where it's for the crowd and for the cameras and everything. I think that's missing now sometimes. And
You said conversation, but you're not speaking in this conversation.
yeah, we're basically speaking with our bodies. Like I'm showing him something, and that can remind him of another move that he still got, and he answers with that, and it's like see who got the most, and yeah,
And then also see who can dig deep.
yeah, and then the most beautiful moment is when you feel you spend all your stuff, and then just magic needs to happen. You know, you need to like figure out to do stuff in the moment, and that's when really interesting stuff comes out sometimes.
And we were just in the studio and you were teaching me and saying, you know, I did a few moves and I was off balance, and you're like, that's not bad. Like use that off balance moment. And I stuck a hand down and you were like, that's kind of fresh. What if you
Yeah.
did that and then that? And you said when you get to those moments sometimes where you don't know what to do, or you called it a blackout.
Yeah,
You have a blackout moment where you don't know what to do next, or you're
Yeah.
in a situation where you're like, uh-oh, if I don't do something different, I'm going to do a repetitive move.
yeah.
Then you're like, you remind yourself to just do different things, right?
Yeah.
Spin or a slide or...
Yeah, so I give myself tools. So certain positions that I already aware from, I'll end up in these positions a lot. I really go deep on a simple position and like milk it like all the way, like see everything that I can possibly do with my body with that position. So once the moment I arrive at that position, I have so many options that I don't even need to think to do something, that my body automatically takes me there. And sometimes even a spin of a simple jump can just help you to like give yourself a little reset in your movements.
This conversation you had with this B-Boy in Montreal, what did you learn from that conversation?
I think it's what did I learn? I think it was just a really nice exchange, and we actually battled together at the same site a couple times as well. But what did I learn? I think you learn to divide your energy, and sometimes it's good to go longer, and sometimes it's good to go shorter. So this was still a friendly battle, but if this was in a cipher, because that's where the real battle happens, that's when you go to an event and the competition might be in the middle, and all around the competition's floor you have circles and people are dancing in a circle. And now it can happen that you jump in the circle and somebody wants to go at the same time. Or somebody meets you in the circle and is like, oh, this guy has a big name, I want to call him out in the cipher to battle. And then it becomes, it's not just, you don't know how many rounds you will battle. You want to make him give up because you feel if you give up first, you kind of lose the battle because you give up. So then it starts to be really strategic. And I mean by that is, I could go a long round and then he would answer really short. And then I need to answer again, but I just did a long round. And that don't give me as much as recovery time for my first round. So it's really important if you have like longer battles to balance out your energy. If I see you did something really impressive that costs you a lot of energy, I would answer with something that's very short, very explosive, which is effective, and then I would stop and then let you go again. And you're still thinking, you're still recovering from your last round. And that's how you kind of like, that's how a real battle goes. And it's quite different than from a stage battle.
Right. Yeah, and I've been to the BC1 champs, and the fun stuff was happening in back behind the seats where these ciphers, and people don't know what a cipher is. It's like basically a bunch of dudes, and sometimes some girls as well, standing in a circle waiting for people to go in and perform and maybe get in battles or mini battles or maybe just one-off rounds, and that's where all the cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
The stuff on stage is, like you said, sometimes feels maybe more scripted or more performance-based, although, you know, the final battles can be awesome too.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you said conversation you had with that guy. First of all, did anyone win that battle with that guy in Montreal? What's his name? Flavio?
Fleo. No, it was just friendly.
But but he quit before you.
I don't remember.
You know, there's a jiu-jitsu fighter, Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter named Kron Gracie, and he's the son of Rickson Gracie, one of the most greatest Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters of all time. And he said, until I roll with you, which means roll jiu-jitsu, he said, I don't know who you are. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I like you. But once I roll with you, then I know who you are.
Yeah.
I can feel your energy. I can see if you're going to do a cheap shot. I can see if you're going to get tense, if you're going to get angry, if you're going to flow, if you're going to be playful, if you're going to be fun, if you're going to be serious.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean.
Yeah.
A conversation doesn't have to be with words, right?
Yeah. And you can kind of see people's personalities through their dance most of the time as well.
Sometimes more than words.
Yeah, more than words.
Right. All right, so it's the final battle. You're up against Killer Koya. It's in Mumbai. You've been dancing all night. You're probably tired.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on you. No one's ever won 3 times. Let's be honest, you're not the youngest guy there, are you? What are you, 30?
30,
Which means you're a senior citizen in breakdancing, right?
Yes.
All right, Koya is what, in his early 20s?
I think he's around the same age.
Really?
And he's been around actually for a very long time.
He has, okay. He looks young. But there's a lot of youngsters out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought he was younger. I don't know why. He's got this kind of fresh style from Kazakhstan, weird combination of a lot of stuff, has power, has some personality. He's coming at you, and he's got momentum, right? And he wants it. He says it would be his first, right?
Yeah.
He wants it. You're the old timer. You're coming up on stage. The crowd, who knows whose side they're on.
Yeah.
How do you approach this battle, and what happens? Break it down for us, because it's 3 minutes of your life,
Yeah.
which can change your life financially, a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. I'll just pump myself up so much. Like
talk to yourself?
jumping, snapping, and like talking to myself and trying to piss myself up, piss myself off, basically to get energy.
Like, what are you saying? Piss yourself off, like, what are you tired, or you want this, or like, what are you saying to yourself?
What would I say to myself? Like, fuck this shit, fuck this, it's mine, like stuff like that.
That's how you get yourself psyched up.
Yeah, and just by like the attitude I would have in my body, the way I would walk on stage, I would like walk back and forth like I'm a wolf, basically, like a thirsty wolf. I walk on stage.
That's not a show. You're feeling that.
I'm feeling that.
You have to feel it.
Yeah.
People can tell if it's a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to really try to be in the moment, because I think the moment you start thinking about it, that's when you're off. I think it's really important to stay in the exact moment. You need to like live that moment.
So don't think about
after, or don't think about before. It's
don't
this
think about
moment.
what it's worth, or
It can go. Don't think about it. Can possibly go wrong or anything. Just really be in the moment.
Are you thinking about your set? Are you thinking about moves?
A
little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I'll try to remember always like 3 points, like a beginning point, a middle point, and an ending. And I just try to like keep on remembering myself. And in the first battle, it's all empty, and you can just go in without thinking because you have so much material left. But once you're in the final battle, you really need to like think, because if you just go, you will start repeating.
Right, you'll go to your default moves.
Yeah.
Especially when you're tired and you're maybe emotionally fried,
Yeah.
you will go to the default moves. And if the judges see those again, you're toast.
Yeah.
And a few guys did that in their
Yeah.
later rounds, and even the judges are like, yeah, we just saw that move in a previous round, and they're gonna get dinged. All right, so that happens. Koya comes out, he wants it. He didn't lay down for that.
No.
What do you see? You talk a little trash to him as well. Is that something that just comes out? Do you know you have to do it? And so what happened on those 3 rounds?
Yeah, he did that move where he got the crowd a lot. He did that like the yoga move.
Yeah, he did the flip. He did like the lotus move with his legs and like flipped into it and did like a meditation freeze.
Yeah.
And he's in Mumbai.
Yeah, that
and it was pretty
really
fresh
smart.
move.
Yeah.
How do you not think? Did you think for a second that's pretty fresh?
Yeah, I was like, damn it, I should have thought about that.
But
No, that was good. That was smart, and I liked the way he did it. And I was like, oh, it's a battle. I was like, yeah.
He did that first round or maybe second round. I don't know what it was.
I think first round.
First round. And so but you're not supposed to let yourself get into that headspace, right? You can't start admiring his moves.
Yeah, so at that moment I was like, he's just rolling from his back to this position. I was like, this crowd don't know shit. I was like, let me show them, like that's the type of thought you have then. But yeah, I have to admit that was a really nice moment.
All right, so then you start flowing your stuff. Were you happy with everything you did? Did you pull something out that you were? There was a risk as well.
I did one move where I do like a handstand and I drop myself to the body, to the floor.
Yeah.
And that was like sweat underneath my shoes. So the moment I landed, my feet slipped. And at that moment I was like, oh, now it's gonna be risky, you know. And he was doing really good as well. So I was like, this is risky. So that at that moment I was less comfortable in my movements. But it brought me more fire at the same time. Like, okay, now it's now or never. Now it's like, now I need to go 200% to take this home. And that's also one of the reasons why I continued to battle. And because normally it's 3 rounds, and we did actually 5 rounds in the final.
Yeah, of course. I totally forgot.
And normally there would a live stream, and that's not possible, you know, like they stop it. But the DJ, he just turned the music back on, so it continued, and the whole crowd was just like upside down, and
it was crazy. 'Cause that was your choice. Because you started, so you went 4th round. You were just like, because Koya did some stuff at the end. It was like trying to show off or something, and you were like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
And you went out again.
Yeah.
Which you're not supposed to do.
No. So I wanted to show like, hey, I have way more stuff left and we can go for way more rounds. I'm not even done here. I want to show it to the crowd and to the judges, and at the same time, I was like, this would be really cool if we, as B-Boys, decide to go longer, because that never happened. And it was a special moment.
That's never happened ever on
No.
BC1 Champs.
No.
And so then you did a round, he did one, and you were like, I got more. I'm gonna keep
And
going.
win again, and he win again. Yeah.
How was his material in 4 and 5? Did he have some still?
He still had some stuff.
He did.
He still had some
did.
stuff, yeah.
Okay. So 5 rounds are done. Everyone's going crazy. The DJ's like, I don't care. I'm going to keep playing.
Yeah.
Did you know you'd won or not?
I thought I won.
But you always think
never
you won.
know.
Right.
You never know. It's always a judge decision, and you just never know. Yeah.
Okay. What's it like when you do get the win? How do you feel?
I feel like so much is going off of my shoulders at that moment. Like I've been in a focus for this so long. I think it's almost too long because I was preparing for the WDSF. It was a world championship in China earlier this year, and I started preparing for it from March, and then I had World Urban Games. That was a couple months after, and then the BC1. So it was almost a full year of being like in extremely focused to battle, to win competitions.
What's that like, that process when you're focused on competitions? I think you were telling me when we were moving,
Yeah.
it's like you go from being a dancer and an artist into becoming an athlete.
Yeah.
Explain that for people.
Yeah, so normally breaking has always been an outlet for me. It's always been something I can express my creativity in, and it's my chill moment. Like I don't go to my friend's house to play computer games, or I don't go to hang out somewhere. I go train with my friends, and that's my me time, and that's my fun time. And I think when I train too long, as in this competition mode, I start losing joy a little bit because I'm too focused at training. And normally it's really, I go there without thinking, and I go like expressing and creating, and there's no pressure at all at breaking, because to me breaking is ultimate freedom. And the more movements I gain, the more close I feel to being free all the way, as in what I want to do with my body. And I mean, when I dance, when I practice, I'm not thinking about nothing. Like everything just shuts off, and it's almost like a high when you break.
Like a meditation.
Like a meditation, yeah. And with this competition training, I was so much busy with these competitions that the joy of that disappeared a little bit.
So you're focusing on conditioning and cardio and strength.
I was doing cardio. I was doing like a 10-minute cardio thing, which I did like 3 minutes of floor sprints, and then 2 minutes of elbow planks, and then 1 minute of 6 steps, and like really, really hardcore cardio, and being really strict on my diet, and practicing 2 times a day, and practicing my material and creating it in a way that it has more structure, so it's more easy to remember for me. So I was just so busy, so long, structuring my stuff, studying my movement, being at home, writing all my movements down. Went to my practice spot, had the list with all my movements written down, film all my movements one by one, edit it into a video, watch that video during cardio, doing like cycle in the gym, and watch the footage. And
is that to get the mental imprint in your brain? So you're like studying, like upgrading your software without having to use the hardware.
Yeah, so I think it's important you do it, so it's in your muscle memory, it's in your body. you write it down, so it helps you like remembering everything, and then you watch it back, and it's also like on your in your eyes. So that helped me a lot. But I was literally like living like competition breaking like for a long time, and it had results. It had good results, but at the same time, I was like, I can't wait to just break again and be free again, to like enjoy this dance without like having the pressure of winning competitions.
I think most
Uh,
people might be surprised, like the discipline it takes, you
Yeah,
know, to be at the very top of that game, because
Yeah.
that's not a natural b-boy thing to do, is it?
No.
I mean, if I take 100 b-boys in the world,
Yeah,
they're not training that way.
no,
They're doing it for the flow and for the fun.
yeah. But then when you put it in a competition format, it's really important to just be extremely sharp, and it just takes a really big athletical side.
Would
Yeah.
you say most people at the BC1 comp are working on their cardio and are doing the same things you're doing, or not necessarily that disciplined?
I think they do, but I think they start like maybe like a month or something, or a couple weeks before. They start to take vitamin pills and be a little bit more healthy, but not really, like not that much that it would make like a really big impact.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you're thinking long term.
Yeah,
All right, so you win it, and basically all of this releases off your shoulders, all the stress, everything you've been worrying about. You're a father now. Last few years, you got another kid on the way.
yeah,
So you're not just competing for you anymore.
yeah. And that's why it was also like a really big motivation to go all out this year, because like, okay, next year my son is gonna come. So I wanted to be able to take it a little bit more easy. So that worked out. And at the same time, if you travel all around the world, judging and teaching and doing competitions, and you're like every week or every 2 weeks you're in a different time zone, it's really difficult to train like a athlete that focused. And this is also my full-time job, so if I don't travel, I don't make money. But if I travel, I can train for a big competition like this. So there's risks to it. So I took off a lot of time. I said no to a lot of gigs, to be able to train. And that's already like a risk of somebody that's doing what I do. To say no to a good amount of money, to stay home, to practice, to maybe win some prize money. But then if you become a father, again, that's like, to me, that was such a big push, to go more harder, that helped me a lot. And I know it was possible because the 2014, when I won BC1, my daughter was just born that year. So we were like in the baby phase, which is a very hectic time. And to me, I think it helped me more than anything. It really taught me to structure my time more, and to, like, whenever I had time to practice, I would use it to its like full potential. Because I would set high priorities to train, and I would like make deals with my wife, and I'll be like, okay, I need to practice. This is like, I go work right now. Like, I need this time. And she, like, giving me that time, like, she would sacrifice a lot of like time for her personal life, for the things she likes to do. So for somebody to give you that time, that's very valuable. So I was like, if she gives me like this time to do what I like, I better like really like bring back home some results, So that's always been an extra push.
That's good. A lot of people would use a new baby as an excuse, but you use that baby to make your time more effective.
Yeah.
One of my mentors always has an expression. He says, success leaves clues. That's what he says. And like, that's why I like talking to someone like you. You don't win 3 BC1 champs by accident,
Yeah.
And so if anyone's listening, especially in the B-Boy game, who wants to like come up, it's not just about those flashy moves or, like you said, training 4 weeks before. I mean, this is serious sacrifice. On the outside chance you can win a competition that on the day, probably anybody could win, or at least the top 8, it's going to be tricky and chancy, and you don't know injury, what's going to happen, and you're still willing to do it on the chance that you get that prize. So that's big.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.